So I'd like to call the August 6th Bristol MP-TPO meeting to order. At this time, if I can have Rex call the roll call.
Tennessee Department of Transportation, Rhonda Sawyer, present. Virginia Department of Transportation, Blake Ayler, present. City of Bristol, Tennessee, Mr. Sora,
Present.
present. Councilman Wingard, City of Bristol, Virginia. Town of Abingdon, Jason Boswell,
Present.
present. Washington County Board of Supervisors, Supervisor McCall,
Present.
present. And Madam Chairman, Amber is present.
Thank you.
We have a quorum.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you all for joining us. At this time, Rex, should we read the item number 3, which discusses our necessity for conducting electronic meeting? Do we need to enter that for the recording?
Sure. Tennessee Executive Order 51 and Virginia House Bill 29 both suspended state law in reference to open meetings to allow governments to conduct business by electronic means other than being required to physically gather as a quorum in a single location. The governing body, in this case the MPO, should make a determination that an electronic meeting is necessary for the health, safety, and welfare of all those concerned in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. So it'd be appropriate for the board to vote whether they believe electronic meeting is necessary. If anybody does not agree, then the meeting should be adjourned until we can all meet in person. So a yes vote would be you think an electronic meeting is appropriate. So Ms. Sawyer.
Yes.
Mr. Ayler.
Yes.
Mr. Sora.
Yes.
Mr. Boswell.
Yes.
Supervisor McCall.
Yes.
And Madam Chairman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we need folks to review the minutes if you haven't already done so. They were, of course, sent electronically as well as mailed out to the board members. So if you are ready, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes from our June 4th quarterly meeting.
I'll make the motion. Go ahead.
I think
I'll
I
make
have
the-
Rhonda and Bill.
That works.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. The minutes are approved as published. Thank you. Normally at this time, we open up the meeting for public comment. We will have discussion at the end for updates from all of our agencies. So we'll hold off on that till the end. But if Rex, were other folks invited, are they able to speak and participate or just hear the recording?
They were able to participate.
Okay, great. Great, so I'll open it up. Does anyone have any comment that's not otherwise on the agenda?
Hey, Rex, at what point would you like for me to introduce Katie Schwing with OIP?
I would just save that for your when you do your VDOT update.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll make sure to do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the agenda item, and then we'll have plenty of time to hear from all the other agencies and folks in attendance. So, Rex, will you give us an update on amendment number 4 to our TIP, Resolution 20-08?
Sam. Most of you are aware the Transportation Improvement Program is the document that programs our federal money for obligation for projects. Within the TIP, as it's called, the projects that are too small to be individually listed as a single project are grouped together. And we have a request from VDOT to amend 2 preventive maintenance groupings to increase the funding obligations for federal fiscal year 2020. It's important to remember it's federal fiscal year because our city and county fiscal year is already ended. But the two preventative maintenance items are preventative maintenance and system preservation. This is National Highway funding, and it adds $27.8 million to FY20, which makes the total $35.9 million. Preventive maintenance and system preservation is basically 90% of that funding is for resurfacing. Preventive maintenance for bridges, pretty much straightforward. It's also National Highway money, and it adds $6.7 million for a total of $7.7 million for FY20. Like I said, these are fiscal year 2020 obligations. So, and it does require MPO resolution just because of the dollar size of the amendment.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Rex? I think everyone was given the information in their packets ahead of time. Any input? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept amendment number 4 to the tip.
This is Phil McCall, so move.
Blake, I'll second.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Blake. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion
Amber,
carries.
I think we need
Amber,
to do
this is
roll call.
Troy. We've
I'm
got to
sorry.
do roll call votes.
Oh, we have to do roll call votes. Oh, okay. All right, Rex, if you have the list, will you lead us in a roll call vote? The motion was made by Philip McCall, seconded by Blake Ayler.
Rhonda Sawyer,
Yes.
Blake Ayler,
Aye.
Mr. Sora,
Yes.
Mr. Boswell,
Aye.
Mr. McCall,
Yes.
and Madam Chairman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, now for the good part, we get to hear from everyone on other matters. First, I'd like to recognize our new Deputy TDOT Commissioner. Preston, are you on the line, sir?
I am.
Hi there.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Likewise.
The floor
So-
is yours.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, thank you for having me on your agenda. I appreciate that. I'll give a few updates for the department. And so I'm not sure if everyone knows, but my starting in transportation planning in the state of Tennessee actually started with the Bristol MPO. Rex and David, who are still there, were my first supervisors with that MPO process, dating all the way back to the implementing rule for iced tea. Painfully to say that, but nonetheless, it's glad to be back working for the department. I had been with the department about 16 years ago for about 4 years, and then the last 16 years I've been working in private consulting. So I think I know a few folks on the call here. Amber, I've worked with in the past, as well as I've already mentioned about Rex. And I see a few other friendly faces on this Zoom call. Really, the department very much appreciates the MPO finding creative ways to allow your planning process to continue. The virtual option is obviously very challenging, but at the same time, it does afford us the ability to keep the planning process continuing, which is very important so that we can ensure that the funding, as you're doing here today, continues to flow through the process, because ultimately those are the transportation improvements that our residents need and want to see on the street. And it's great to know that we have hardworking folks there making the planning process continue. So I really appreciate that, Rex and others that are making that happen there within your MPO. Just a couple of things that I'd like to kind of share in terms of the department. Since the pandemic had begun, we've been tracking the impact of traffic conditions on our interstates. In the 4 urban areas, we have a little bit more extensive data collection because of our ITS systems. And so some of you may have seen or heard about this, but we had observed traffic conditions that on the urban interstates drop as low as 60% below normal traffic conditions in the 4 major urban areas: Knoxville, Nashville, Memphis, and Chattanooga. And I'm sure in your community, you have noticed over the last 5 months, pretty significant changes in traffic patterns. That being said, what we're currently seeing is that traffic conditions on our urban interstates are inching their way back up. Depends on what urban city you're in, but on the interstate systems, we're seeing things as close as about 10% below normal traffic conditions. So people are moving more out and about and doing their business. We are tracking rural interstate traffic as well. Our infrastructure in terms of being able to do that as easily as we have in the urban areas isn't as easy, but we are able to monitor those as well and have seen similar traffic conditions. Maybe not as dramatic, because on some interstate corridors like I-75, where you have a sizable number of people that travel from the north to, let's say, Florida for vacation in the summer, we don't see as much as a dramatic impact. In the Nashville region, because of the amount of tourism that the city is accustomed to, we continually see that as a much lower traffic, or I guess a greater traffic impact as a result of COVID. So we hope to get more information out and about with urban areas, as well as those with the city of Bristol and so forth. But I know that probably Rex, David's probably got a better handle on the traffic there in your MPO area. I know he likes to count lots of things, so I'm sure you guys have great data there. So relative to business, a couple things. I think that most of you know on the call that TDOT's multimodal access grant, our call for, I guess, notice of intent to apply, that ended on the 31st. We hope that you had submitted some potential projects. We'd really like to see some improvements in non-motorized accommodations. The other one that's still open is our Improve Act Public Transit Capital Grant Program. And that's open until the 21st of this month. Again, 2 grant opportunities, just wanted to make sure that you're aware of and are able to apply for. I think there was one more thing that I wanted to cover, but just, and I think you may know this, we're working with the MPO staff to provide resources to assist you with the development and the update of your long-range plan, and we're working close. Our staff is working closely with Rex and the staff there with the MPO so that we can make sure that planning resources are available and so forth. That's kind of in a nutshell what I had, unless there's any questions for me.
Thanks, Preston. Any questions for Preston? Okay. We'd also like to recognize our folks from FHWA. Who's on the call?
Pam's on the call, and Sean Santaya.
I went to a different view some reason, so I had everybody see stuff. Okay. Hi, Pam. How are you all?
I'm doing well. Thank you, members of the board. I just wanted to appreciate having the opportunity to visit with you. I apologize that I'm not on the video. Spectrum internet is having an outage in my area, so I'm going old school and calling in by phone. So just wanted to kind of come on the comments that Preston had said. We appreciate y'all continuing to have these meetings virtually and allowing participation by us and as well as the public. And last month, I think I mentioned that we were ready to assist y'all with your long-range plan as you're getting into the early stages, and wanted to indicate that some of some of the things we've been able to do with some of the other MPOs that we have found to be very helpful is that we will review, and I believe TDOT is willing to do the same. Preston, I don't want to commit you, but we have done this with TDOT in other areas, is we will review components of the plan in draft forms. So for instance, the financial assumptions, modeling outputs, your prioritization, other elements we will look at before the full draft undergoes state and federal review, so that we have found that that is a way to streamline the review and be able to provide you our feedback earlier. So any updates and changes can be made. So we're offering that to y'all as well. The FAST Act, yes? Oh, the FAST Act is expiring at the end of September of this year. That's the federal act that provides authorizations and funding. So we don't know what's happening right now with the next act, whether or not we will have something full or continuing resolutions. Congress is undertaking those conversations now. And as soon as we know something, we will let you know. The census is also, the 2020 census is also is going on now. I believe this week it was mentioned that it might be ending a month early. So if you have any way of supporting the census collection effort, we appreciate that, as planning and funding decisions are an integral part of the census activities. With the end of the fiscal year coming, we're asking that all the MPOs look at their FY21 in their UPWPs and their planning work programs to make sure that the funding and activities are accurate for the upcoming year, and then make any amendments as needed, and working with us on that. And again, we appreciate the ongoing partnership with the Bristol MPO.
Pam, let me ask you a question. I'm concerned about the census not being fully complete. Last time I heard, like 60 or 61% of Americans have responded. Do you all have any concerns as that being a good source of demographic data for us to use this time, if it's not, or 60% normal? I don't know.
I'll be perfectly honest. I'm not sure what is the normal response rate for the census. That's a very good question, and certainly Sean and I can look into that and get back to you. I know what happens if we have to get to, I guess, 100%, or when the census will extrapolate the data that it has in order to make recommendations and judgments accordingly. But I don't know if 60% is typical for this close to the end. So I guess we can look into that and then ask y'all to support whatever census efforts are out there, to see if we can get as many folks counted as possible.
Okay, thank you. We all rely on that data.
Sorry, we absolutely all do. I'm sorry I don't have the answer to that question. Maybe we can look that up, and before the end of the call, we can let you know.
That's fine, or later through an email. We're all going to be doing it, not just for MPOs, but local governments, for planning commissions and updating their land use plans. It's all on the same cycle. So
absolutely. Yep. We completely understand.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sean, did you have anything to add? Anybody else from?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. How about some updates from VDOT? Blake, did you have any updates for us or comments?
Nothing specific on any of our projects at this time, Amber, but I would like to introduce Katie Schween with the Intermodal Planning and Investment Office. She's going to give us some information on the update of VTrans and where we stand within that process.
Hi, Katie. Floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you. Hello. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the board and Rex allowing me some time to talk. And thank you, Blake, for coordinating and introducing me. So I've met, I think, most of you all before at previous meetings where I've provided updates on VTrans, Virginia's statewide long-range transportation plan. So I wanted to provide an update today on where we are in the process, and to actually make a couple of requests for you all for some outreach and review of materials coming up. So what we're planning on doing, I don't know if you all remember, it was probably about a year ago that I visited the MPO to provide some updates on our midterm transportation needs process. So this is the main way we're setting out our needs for the next 5 to 10 year time frame. And those needs were actually approved by the Virginia Commonwealth Transportation Board in January of this year. And all of the results of those needs were posted to vtrans.org, which is our website. And the next step in that process, really, once we've established those needs, is to prioritize them. And that's where we are now. And currently, internally, the Office of Intermodal Planning Investment is working on a methodology to do the prioritization. And the main reason behind doing prioritization of the needs is that there are simply too many needs identified around the state in order to be able to address them all in the next 5 to 10 years. And prioritization really primarily helps the state to focus in and direct state level spending on planning studies, sort of advanced activities related to project development, things like that. And so we need your input in order to determine if we're prioritizing needs according to the local and regional priorities, and if it makes sense across the entire state. So while we don't have anything up yet, we will very soon have materials posted at vtrans.org that explain the draft methodology, as well as a draft output. So you can actually go and look at a map and see, based on the draft methodology, where some of these prioritized needs would be located. And I wanted to get on this call today because I know you might not meet as an MPO again for a few months. So I wanted to give you a heads up about that. So it's probably more late August that these items will be available on vtrans.org, and we'll be hosting webinars at that time in order to go over the information, provide more details, things like that. So if you're interested, I know Jason, Supervisor McCall, that might be something you would be interested in, or you're always welcome to contact me directly if you have any questions about the process. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure that I let you all know about that. You can always contact me directly if you have information. Blake, I will send you the webinar invites, and you can feel free to forward those to the MPO board. I'll send that to Rex as well, so that you all can disseminate it, and anyone who wants to attend can do that. Like I said, materials will be available in late August at vtrans.org if you'd like to review and provide feedback directly that way as well. So unless there are any questions, that was the extent of my update for today.
That's great. Yes, thank you. Good information. Taking notes. Okay, so next I have Mike Russell. Do you have any updates from TDOT for us, please, sir?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can.
Okay, very good. One update be interested in your area would be the I-81 expansion, ITS expansion along 81. Beginning on I-26 exit 57 going up to the Virginia line. This project has been budgeted. The money has been authorized to move forward with the NEPA process, and we're just getting started with this project. So finishing up a planning report on that, we'll be moving into the environmental stage to prepare that report. Also, there's a project right below Bristol, from US 11E near the Bristol Motor Speedway to near Pinnacle Parkway. That'll be a new construction project, roughly 6 miles long, and that project also is just getting started. And the money has been funded to begin the NEPA process. And going by the schedule I'm looking at, it appears it'll take about 2 years to get that prepared.
2 years for the NEPA process?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, gotcha.
We're looking at the latter part of 2022.
And is this the corridor that goes, did we decide through Carden Hollow area? What did we decide to connect?
It does go through the Carden Hollow area to 26, excuse me, State Route 1. And then there in a northern direction, and then a route that will cut over and hook up with Midway with Medical Park Boulevard, excuse me.
Right, and State Route 1 is 11W in my terms.
Is there any opportunity for phasing that particular project? I know the northern connection is of some safety concerns to us regarding extension of Pinnacle Parkway around to the area that would connect into the northern, end of this corridor. So is there any opportunity for phasing of this project?
Are you asking to possibly have it divided into two sections?
2 or more. I mean, it might be 2 to 3 sections in which we could expedite one area of this project rather than it being a total project that, once we start the NEPA process and so forth, we're probably a decade before we see this improvement move forward. Would there be an opportunity to look at a phasing to expedite the timing of this?
Yes, I would like to think so. Just knowing the expense of projects to get constructed nowadays, or even get to the point of being constructed, and this being a 6-mile long project, I'm sure there'll be a lot of right-of-way that'll be necessary. I think that'll be something that'll be discussed possibly during this NEPA process and probably documented within that document. But the decision probably would be made on something like that after they have the document in place. Okay. And FHWA's had a chance to review it and approve.
All right. So the first phase is our environmental review of the area. Then.
Yes, sir.
And that would have to be completed before we could look at project phasing and things of that nature. Then.
I would think so. Yes, sir. Once we get through with the environmental document and we get FHWA's approval, then we can request funding to move forward with the design phase, and it could be discussed at that time.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
That's a great question. Mike, do you have anything else to share with us for our MPO area for TDOT update projects?
I don't believe so, not for the area.
Okay. Well, who have I overlooked? I know we have several folks in my gallery. We got 20 folks on the line. Rex, have I missed anybody? Want to give everyone an opportunity to share any information or have questions?
Excuse me, this is Pam. I had a little bit of follow-up on the census question.
Yeah.
So Sean, since one of us has access to the internet, Sean was able to do a quick search, and I appreciate that, and shared with me, and Sean, please jump in if I get this incorrect, that in 2010, by October in 2010, the census self-reporting rate was about 74%. And then the non-responsive houses were visited by a census taker, and that's the issue. One of the significant issues with the census this time is that census takers are not able to go out and do, home visits and do the counts for missing addresses that way. So, there was probably going to be an issue anyway with this particular census because of that. But at the moment, census self-reporting 2020 census is at about 63% today. So I know that there's a big push to try to get folks to do self-reporting. So if you haven't done your census, please do that. But we're about, I guess, maybe 10% behind 2010, but that was as of October last year. So so according to the census website, Tennessee self-reporting rate is at about 62%.
Okay.
So hopefully everybody's been counted.
Well, it doesn't sound like it, but thank you, ma'am. That's really good information. Okay. Anybody else?
Hey, Amber, it's Troy. Real quick, Stacy was on the line with us today, who is our statewide OCT manager. Just wanted to tell everyone we really appreciate y'all doing everything you can to keep business flowing and keeping TDOT moving the right direction we need to, because we can't do it without you all working with the tips and putting improvements in and that sort of stuff. So it is greatly appreciated during this time, and we'll keep moving that direction and see what the future holds. So, but we definitely appreciate your all's flexibility and helping Federal Highway and everyone be able to join these meetings as well.
Thanks, Troy. Last call, anyone? Rex, do you have anything else to share? When will our next meeting be? Do you know?
Oh, November 5th.
November 5th. That sounds like an election day. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. I don't know. Pretty close. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Really appreciate all the input. I know we have to take care of business, but I always appreciate the updates from all of our other agencies that support us. So thank you all for joining. I guess at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
As always, Bill, thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Rhonda. Do we need to take a roll call to adjourn, or are we good?
We're good.
Okay.
Good.
All right, just check it. Thanks again. Y'all stay well. Appreciate it. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.